Amanda, how are you today?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's nice to see your face today. And it is nice to see all of your faces today. I see so many friends are here for our Friday Forest Fables. I see Maya and I see Margaret. I see Hiroto and Elliot and Lexi and Clarice and Sophia and more friends. I see Sonia. I see all of you. It is so wonderful to have you here today for our Friday Forest Fable. And I'm going to get started right away with our story today. We are telling a story today that has no magic in it. No witches, no wizards, no spells, but there is magic in the heart of this story. It's a spring story. I hope you like it. Now, I've been thinking, springtime, right? When I think of spring, I think of, what's in my ear? Beautiful flowers. All I want to do is see beautiful, beautiful flowers. And this is a story about how those flowers come to be. And if you look outside, there's a garden out there, but it is dead. Let's go outside and look at the dead garden, shall we? Oh my goodness, how did this garden get so sad and so dead? The only way to bring it back is with a little bit of love. And that is why we are telling the story of The Secret Garden today. Ooh, the secret garden. Every time I mention the secret garden, you should get excited. Let's see. The Secret Garden. Ooh, I'm so excited to see the secret garden. All right, let me make sure everything's attached here. All right, our story begins not in a green, flowery place, but in India a long, long time ago. Now, India is a beautiful place to live. There are so many beautiful things to see and do, but they don't really have a spring season. It's a little different than the spring that we know. And in India, a long time ago, there was a little girl, and she wasn't very happy. She was a sad little girl. She was a lonely little girl, and she didn't really have a family to hang out with. Her name was Mary Lennox. Hey, Mary. Oh, she's so unhappy. She always wears gray and black. But one day she found out that she was going to get to go and live with her uncle. Finally, she was going to have a family member to live with, and she was going to go live in Yorkshire, England, where they have spring. And she started to wonder what spring would look like. Would there be flowers and butterflies like she's seen pictures of? So Mary's great hope is to see some flowers. Who wants to see some flowers with Mary? If you want to see flowers with Mary, show me the happy dance. Make a growing flower with your hand. Her dream is to see some beautiful flowers. Now, the lady that's going to take her to her new house is this lady. That is Mrs. Medlock. Mrs. Medlock, and Mrs. Medlock is a woman who is just disappointed by everything. And when she sees Mary, she's disappointed in Mary. You know, that's just this woman's nature. Now, to get to Yorkshire, England, they have to take a boat, a train, and then a buggy ride. And when they get in the buggy, there's the horse and buggy, they look out and see, she's going to see flowers, right? Beautiful flowers. No, it's the moorland, the moors. Miles and miles of wild land that nothing grows on but heather and gorse and broom, and nothing lives on but wild ponies and sheep. And Mary's like, what is that awful howling noise here? Yee! And she's like, oh, it's the wind blowing through the bushes it is. They call it wuthering, that sound. And when you get bigger, you'll read a book called Wuthering Heights. And Mary is like, I thought there were going to be flowers here. And Mrs. Medlock says, once there were beautiful flowers here, but now everything's dead. Oh, what a disappointment. We came all the way from India for this. Yikes. So the buggy starts to pull up to the house, and Mrs. Medlock, there's Mary in the buggy. Mrs. Medlock says, see that tiny light far across there? That'll be the gate, it will. That'll be your new home, Misselthwaite Manor. Boom. Misselthwaite Manor is an English country house, a manor house, and it is huge. It's like a great big castle that she's going to live in. And it's even creepier than that because guess what? It was nighttime when she got there. Look at that. Who Who wants to go in the creepy nighttime castle? I don't want to, I don't know. We're going to go in though. So they go inside and she has to walk from room to room to room to, how big is this place? And it's empty and it's lonely and forgotten. It's the most forgotten place anyone's ever seen. And they send Mary to her bedroom. Look at Mary in her bed. The bed is huge. She has to go up a little staircase to get in her bed. And then Mrs. Medlock says, all right, I'm leaving you alone. Good night. Shuts the door. Mary started off alone, and now she's even more alone than she was before. It's like, great, I came all this way, no flowers, and I'm all alone. I don't like this house. But guess what? Things are about to change. She's about to have an adventure. She meets a nice lady named Martha, and Martha is her maid. And Martha comes in, and she opens the windows, and Mary starts to realize that the world she's in is a really beautiful world. And she looks out the window and she's like, I kind of want to go outside and check it out. And Martha gives her breakfast and is like, yeah, go outside, check it out. So they have breakfast, right? They get dressed and they go outside. And Martha is like, I've got to get back to work, but you, Mary, you are going to have a blast outside. And before we move on, I want to check my internet connection. Yep, we're connected. How nice. So Martha's explaining how the house works, right? She's like, Mary, you go outside, boom. It's like Central Park out there. There's fountains for you to play in. There's birds, there's animals, and get this, there's even more than that. There is a robin who can talk. There is a key that opens the door to a secret garden. Ooh, the secret garden. Ooh. You have to find the secret garden. And my brother's out there, and my brother can talk to animals. And Mary's like, all of that is here? Bye. And she runs out the door. She can't wait to be a part of this beautiful new world that she's in. So Mary's wandering around the beautiful property, and she's seeing all kinds of animals, and she bumps into this old man. Patrick Stewart kind of old man, right? And he's like, you're the little girl who lives here now. And he explains to her how the secret garden, how the secret garden got lost. How do you lose a garden? He says, first, there was the door. Then the ivy started to grow up over the door. Then the ivy covered the door. And then no one knows where the door is. So even if you have the key to the door, how are you gonna find it? It's all covered up with ivy. And Mary's like, oh boy, that's a problem. I really wanna see the garden, but wait, I'm gonna go look for the robin. No, not that kind of robin. The robin, there's the robin, the talking robin that she heard about. And she finds the robin, and the robin's like, hey, what are you doing? You're trying to find the secret garden. I'll help you find the secret garden. But first you need the key. Here, I'll give you the key. The robin knows where the key is, right? So the robin flies up and he's like, gives her the key to the garden. Only the robin knows where it is. Look at this magical key. I pretend it's a mustache, right? So she's like, hey, thanks, Robin, for the key. But where's the door? Oh, and the robin's gone and she didn't find out where the door is. But that's okay because the next person she meets is Dickon. Martha's brother. Remember, he can talk to the animals, and he tells her that spring is definitely coming. Hey, I know there's no flowers here now, but they are coming. Winter's on the wing, soon a fine spring morn's coming clean through the morn, come the gray, I say. He sings all kinds of good songs. Winter's taking flight, sweeping dark, cool air out to sea. Spring is born, come the day, say I. And he talks to the animals who tell him spring is coming. The fox, the pony, the squirrel, even a raven. And Mary's like, whoa, this place is pretty cool. So she becomes friends with Dickon, and they hang out every day, and every day they laugh, talk to the animals, and try to find the door to the secret garden. Ooh, the secret garden. But they don't find it, right? One night, Mary's in her big old bed sleeping, and she can't sleep. She's thinking about the flowers in the garden, and somebody is crying in the nighttime house. And she's like, ugh, how can I sleep with someone crying? I need to find out who it is. So she lights her candles, right? She's got her candelabra or whatever it is, and she's walking through the house, and she's like, all right, crying person, I'm gonna find you in this house. Here's the problem. The house is gigantic. There are a billion rooms in this house. So she's got to look from one room to the next room to the next room. She's even asking Martha, she's like, someone's crying and they're keeping me up at night. And Martha's like, shh. And Mary looks through all the rooms until she finds a tapestry. All right, we got to move the tapestry. So get ready to move the tapestry with me. 1, 2, 3. And she finds a sick little boy laying in a secret room. And the boy's on his bed and he's like, my name's Colin and I'm very ill and I've never left this bed. And Mary's like, what? And then she realizes the little boy is her cousin. Oh, and they've never seen her uncle. They don't even know the person that owns this big house. Neither one of them have seen this person. Who is this mystery person? So Mary and her cousin decide that they're gonna be good friends too, but guess who comes along? Mrs. Medlock. And she says, no, you can't be friends with your cousin. She's always so disappointed. Your cousin isn't feeling well, he needs to be left alone. So this poor little boy that's alone in his bed doesn't get to have a friend, and Mary doesn't get to be friends with him, and she's like, great. I finally meet my cousin in the house, and I'm all alone again. But then she gets the best idea ever. She thinks about flowers and how badly she wants to see some, and she thinks about the secret garden. Ooh, the secret garden. So she runs outside, and she finds the robin, and she says, Robin, I need to find the garden door. I have the key. I need to get through the door. Where is the door? I want to take my cousin Colin there so that he will feel better. And the robin's like, hey, yeah, I can show you guys where the door is. No problem. Follow me. So he takes them to a place where the wall is all covered with ivy. And Mary's like, come on, Robin, I'm never going to find the door. But the robin points to where there's a secret spot where she can just barely see the door. She moves the ivy aside and they find the garden door. So now they have the key. Now they have the door. They can get into the secret garden. What do you think they're gonna see in the garden? Raise your hand if you think they're gonna see flowers. Oh, I see lots. Raise your hand if you think they're gonna see butterflies. Raise your hand if you think they're gonna see beautiful colors. So they unlock the door. They go inside the door and they discover everything's dead. The garden is dead. No one's been taking care of it for a very long time. It's all dry and yucky. Oh no, that's a disappointment, right? She still doesn't get to see any flowers, even though she's in the secret garden. Hoo-ha-ha. But then she remembers, I have friends who are gonna help me. She talks to Ben Witherstaff, the old man. He's a gardener, right? She gets Dickon because he can talk to the animals. Maybe the animals know some way to make the garden grow. We can ask the foxes and the ponies. The robin will help. Yeah, sure, I'll help you guys. We'll grow the garden together. Right on. And she goes to tell her cousin Colin. She goes, Colin, guess what? We are going to sneak you out of the house. And I'm going to take you through the window. We're gonna sneak past all the trees and we're gonna go to the secret garden together. And Colin and Dickon and Mary and the animals all go to the secret garden together. And of course the garden is still dead, but they start to work on it. They break up the soil. Can you guys get a trowel with me and start to break up the soil? Oh, we can do it, right? We start to turn the soil. We get new, fresh soil in that we can put into the garden, and we can start to plant our seeds and water and take care of it. And Martha is helping them, and soon the dead garden turns into a live garden. The dead stuff starts to grow into beautiful green stuff. And Mary has transformed. She's transforming. Remember when we met her before? She was so gray and sad. Now, she's blossoming too, just like the garden is. And Colin, her cousin, is blossoming too. He has to ride in a special chair when he goes to the garden because his legs aren't able to walk. But even so, he's able to enjoy the garden. And he becomes good friends, of course, with Mary and Dickon with his animals and Ben Witherstaff. And they are just like all kinds of buddies, right? Buddy time. The robin and the key too. But guess who comes along? Mrs. Medlock. again. And she's so disappointed. And she says, no, 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 no. And I bet you won't get to keep this garden when your uncle comes home. But your uncle's never coming home. So I say you may not have the garden. They can't go in the garden anymore. Oh, and Mary is so sad. So she goes to Martha and she says, Martha, I'm so sad. We can't go to the garden anymore. And Martha says, Mary, I know you're just a little girl, but you can take charge of your fate. Hold on, she tells her, hold on to someone standing by. If it's the musical, you get a big belty number, right? And she says, Mary, write a letter to your uncle and tell him how you're feeling. Put your feelings in words. I'll help you write the words down, right? And then you'll send the letter to your uncle and tell him to come home. And you can ask him if you can keep the garden. Do you think he's gonna let her keep that garden? What do you guys think? I don't know, we don't know. So she does, she writes the letter. She mails the letter off to her uncle. And her uncle, Inigo Montoya, her uncle comes right home. And he sees the garden. He sees the garden, which used to be all dead. The house was lonely and quiet and dead. The garden was lonely and quiet and dead. Well, guess what? He comes into the garden and spring has sprung. There are clusters of crocus. There are pansies, blankets of them, and he just sees beautiful colors everywhere. And it gives him so much joy to see the beauty of the secret garden. Ooh, the secret garden, right? Let's walk through the garden for a moment and take a look at some of the beautiful things there are to see in this garden. Oh my goodness. Ooh, I would love to go to a beautiful garden like this one. Oh my gosh, look at those colors. And he looks again and he says, how did it get like this? Where did all these flowers come from? And he realizes, oh, it's Mary. But not just Mary, it's Dickon too, who can talk to the animals. Mary has blossomed, the garden has blossomed. And look, even the servants are happy. Mrs. Medlock is smiling, and of course Martha's smiling, and Ben Witherstaff, and this lady, I don't know, maybe she's the cook or something, she looks really happy too. Everyone is so happy that Misselthwaite Manor, this manor house, has come to life. And do you know what he says to Mary? He says, Mary, my dear child, for as long as you will have us, we are yours, Colin and I. And this is your home for as long as you want it. And this, my dear child, is your garden. And she gets to keep the garden forever. And the robin's gonna help her out with the gardening, right? And that, my friends, is the story of the secret garden. So friends, before we leave today's forest fable, let me remind you, today is Friday, right? That means no forest fables tomorrow, no forest fables the next day, but we'll be back on Monday morning with more stories. And if you need some forest fables, remember, we will be sharing the Google Drive link that will have 20 forest fables that we've made all ready for you to watch. Can you believe we've done 20 forest fables? That's incredible to me. All right, if you like forest fables, let me see some silent applause. I am applauding you because I think every one of you has spring in your heart today, and I hope you have a beautiful day. And I will see you all at Community Sing. I'm gonna head back to my blanket fort, and I'm gonna get Isadora to come and say happy spring to all of you. I'll be right back.